but this is the APSA timeout, just like you start an operation every day with a timeout between your anesthesiologists, nursing staff, and surgeons. That kind of makes sure you're in the right room with the right patient on the right side and the right organ. You have all the right instruments. The APSA timeout is the same thing. We're here to make sure everyone is ready to learn something, because that's why we're here. The first question, and I don't think that anybody of you had a chance to answer them. The APSA Program Committee worked tirelessly to provide an excellent scientific program this year. They reviewed a total of 329 submissions. The question is, put your questions in the chat. For the prizes, how many abstracts were accepted for presentation this year? We've already gone over that Kathy and Casey are not eligible for the prizes. If you guys didn't hear before, we take randomly correct answers in the chat and give them either a copy of the 50th anniversary book, the genealogy book, or I think subscription to pedsurglibrary.com, or actually I do have an Amazon gift certificate for those of you who already have everything and we can't pick out anything for you. So start putting some answers in the chat. 325, they reviewed 329. These guys are much more sensitive. That 286, that's getting closer. 40% accepted rate. Well, that's kind of, you know, here and knows the answers, but always comes up with things. So the right answer is 133. So that is a 40% acceptance rate. We're going to give Hira credit for that. Now here's another question. This year we've added something additional. The APSA committees have all put together educational sessions for you to go beyond just the scientific program. How many hours, put your answer in the chat, how many hours of committee educational content are part of this year's meeting? And that's not just the meeting over the next 2 or 3 days, but the APSA that will extend out through the whole year. How many hours? It is not 133. It is not the same answer. We have some real overachievers in APSA, but it's not 133 hours. Ramit Tapura is correct. It is 50. Well, it was 50 hours 2 days ago, Ramit. That is exactly right. But people are so interested in getting you information. We're now up to 52 hours of credit. And if you're in the 50-ish, we're going to count that as a correct answer. For Mike and Asher, it's much more than 30. We have a lot of people who are really interested in sharing their knowledge with you. Now, as to Kathy and Casey, where else on the planet can you get 133 abstracts of the latest information, 50 hours of content? There just is no experience like this except for an APSA meeting where we get all this stuff that helps us take better care of our patients. And thanks to the two of you for helping make that work.
Absolutely. David, thanks for those great questions. And Dave's going to join us for every day, the remainder of the meeting, to do some more. Hopefully we will work out the freezing issues. Kathy, I'll take a couple minutes just to introduce the first session and then give some housekeeping items. The first session is going to be our past presidential address, which was, for those of you who don't remember, is Dr. Jay Vacanti. He will be introduced by Dr. Scott Adzik from Philadelphia. Then myself and Kathy will be back with you, and then we'll have a new member introduction. And that's that presidential symposium or presidential talk is going to start here in about 3 minutes. So as you've probably figured out by now, all sessions on the Whova app can be accessed by the agenda tab in the left hand navigation of the Whova platform. So once you're on the agenda page, you'll see the tabs for each day of the conference. And within each day's tab, the sessions are listed in chronological order. So at the time listed in the agenda, the live presentations or the pre-recorded videos will become available for viewing. So you click the View Session button to join the session. And at the end of a session, you'll scroll down to the bottom of the page and click here to join the next session. And for today, as a point of introduction, myself and Dr. Van Leeuwen will prompt people to do that at the end of each session. There are a couple of places where you don't need to do that, but we'll keep you abreast of what that is. So during the session, you're again encouraged to ask a question in the Ask a Question button, which is different than the chat. That button's in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, so you can contribute questions and then use the chat tab for general comments, banter about with your friends, etc. And questions will be addressed during the live Q&A portions of a given session if it's applicable. You can also like a questions by using the thumbs up feature to vote for it. And I would encourage you all to venture around the platform a bit because it has a lot of terrific networking features. We've been pretty impressed with what Veritas has done for us, and I'm hopeful that you will be as well. So, we couldn't run this meeting without support from our generous sponsors. So please take the time to visit the exhibit hall and see what resources they have to offer and to attend the industry and introduction and sponsored symposium sessions tomorrow. Kathy, you have anything to add before we get to Doctors Vacanti and Adzik?
Yeah, I'll just add that you can see who's on with you, and if you look under the attendees, and definitely reach out and send messages. I know that everyone's sad that we're not in person, but you can pretend we're in person and send personal messages to your friends through the platform. And so when I did it earlier, I got points for doing that. So I just want to challenge everybody. I'm probably going to have the most points by the end of this. Maybe Elizabeth Speck. My guess is you might have a lot of points at the end of this, but I think we should all really reach out to each other as if we were in person, and hopefully next year that's the case.
We're going to kick it off with Dr. Waldhausen, who's going to introduce the meeting in general, and he's your current 52nd president of APSA. So without further ado, I'll take it over to Dr. Waldhausen, and make sure that you scroll down to the bottom and click next, go to the next session. You should do that now.
Thanks, everybody. Enjoy the meeting.